Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of basketball, we're going to move on, talk a little Cavs after a quick word from FanDuel. You can get buckets on your first bet with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and much, much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Yesterday, Mike asked the question, Jason, were the Cavs before last night's game, obviously, more likely to go 25-4 the rest of the year or 10-19? And we all said they're more likely to go 25-4 than 10-19, even though neither was likely.
Yeah.
And then the one caveat was unless Donovan Mitchell got hurt. Now, he's not hurt. He was just sick. I don't know if he's going to play tonight. But G. Bush yesterday said that if Donovan Mitchell didn't play, they still wouldn't go 10-19, even if he didn't play all 29 games.
They wouldn't go 10-19. No.
Without Donovan Mitchell.
No. Although their March schedule, they do have some.
But they'd be more likely to go
10-19
and 25-4 without Donovan Mitchell, right?
I mean, I suppose. Yeah. But again, we're talking about
their schedule is tough. Their schedule is crazy.
Yeah, they're playing a lot of games in not that many days. They were pretty awful yesterday, although Orlando shot the hell out of the ball yesterday, too.
They did. Cleveland also shot pretty well if you look at the pure numbers. But, G. Bush, we have a tweet from your post-game immediate thoughts afterwards I want to bring up here. I want to let you address what you had to say. Steve, take tagboard full. This was G. Bush last night. All that talk about Donovan Mitchell being overrated is dead. The Cavs look like a play-in team without Mitchell tonight. If they can't sign him, this is what you're in store for. The offense has reverted to dribble, damn near 20 turnovers. Hashtag Cavs.
I don't think any of that is fair.
With a B.
That's completely fair.
You're basing it on one game.
Completely fair. They look just like they did when they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in. They look like that when they lost to the
But it's one game.
I get it's one game.
Any teams – but you don't prove you're overrated. You don't prove you're not overrated till the playoffs.
First of all, who's calling Donovan Mitchell overrated?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about he should be getting more recognition for MVP.
Well, no,
not less.
The whole half of the year was like, oh, trade him, and then
not because he's overrated.
But there's this false sense of security that we have Darius Garland. So if we do lose him, then we're good. We're just right.
I don't think. You think anybody really feels that way? Anybody?
No. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Like regular fans?
Like a lot of people, like when we talk about Donovan Mitchell, it's almost like this thing where, okay, we got the core four, but we still got Jared Allen. That's why we won't trade Mobley or Garland, because we got a fallback plan. Oh, no. They ain't got no fallback plan. Did you notice the softness on that court yesterday? They let a runway model, Wagner, just flex on him, pose on him, knock him around, and Brad Daugherty is like, Cavs gotta, give some resistance here. Man, I was like, where is the game that we saw a couple of weeks ago? Like the pace was slow. There was the ball rotation. It was dribbling around, probing, and I'm like, this is not the same offense. It just wasn't.
Jason, what'd you think?
Well, I was in the air, so I saw the condensed version this morning. I caught a little bit of the game here and there, but I didn't get to see the whole game, obviously, because I was flying home. I would tap the brakes on any overreaction to one game, although I will say, remember last week we were talking about going into the break, and I thought it was a big win to beat the Bulls, because now if you don't come back and win that game, now you're on a 3-game losing streak. You look like crap.
And they played lousy after the break last year.
Yeah, so the part I think Garrett's talking about, and this is what I've said, if they have to move on from Donovan at some point, they still have Evan, Darius, and Jarrett. And together, that core three is what's going to carry them into the future. And that's part of the reason why nobody's trading Darius Garland in that organization right now, because you're already really concerned with what Donovan's future is, so you're not going to trade a guy that you do have control over for still X number of years to come. Because if you trade Darius and now you lose Donovan, well, what do you got left?
Nothing.
So Darius isn't going anywhere. And he's not played great this year. Like, full admission, this is not a great year for him so far. But last year they were great together. Like, they were fine. Donovan and Darius were fine together last year. And when you have two smaller guards in the backcourt, it does make the game harder. The benefit, what makes it better for the Cavs, is you have two monsters in the front court. If you're going to be small in the back court, you have to make up for it on the front end, and they can do that. And that's what's different about this pairing as opposed to the Colin and Darius pairing, which I never liked, or Dame and CJ in Portland, was defensively, Portland couldn't mitigate how small they were in the backcourt. It is hard to win with two small guards in the NBA. It is. But if you're going to do it, if you have any shot at doing it, you got to have what the Cavs do have, which is Evan and Jarrett in the front court.
Right. I would say that, first of all, I think it's unfair to judge what this team would be without Donovan Mitchell based on one game.
Especially the first game coming out of the break.
Right. Because nobody wants them to be without Mitchell. But in theory, if they were next year without Mitchell, you would hope that Evan Mobley would have a totally different game, that he'd be scoring. We don't know. So to judge it based on one game this year, that's to me is completely unfair.
I'm not judging it all based on one game this year. I'm judging it based on the way that Darius Garland has played since he got back. I'm not basing it on one game.
But if there was in theory, if there was no Donovan Mitchell, and first of all, he's coming off an injury. How many games has he played? I mean, like 6 games?
Darius?
Yeah, since he's been back.
More than that, but it's
okay. 10 games?
10, yeah.
I mean, it's not enough of a sample size, and he's getting used to a new system that the other guys have been playing for months. And he gotta catch up, bro. Like you can't. But when you're the point guard, you cannot turn the ball over as much as he does. I agree with you. I'm not. Nobody's debating that he's playing well. I'm just saying to turn that into, well, they would be terrible without. Yeah, of course they're going to be worse without Donovan Mitchell.
I don't.
Every team's going to be worse without their best player.
What's alarming to me is this, and take the hyperbole out of it. Just look at it this way.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that they were playing, with just Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell and role players, that looks like night and day from what they're playing now, and they have starters back.
Yeah, but they've been playing well outside of yesterday's game. They won 18-20 before yesterday.
What I'm saying to you is, if you watch and you look at the games and you watch how they playing, right? When Darius Garland came back, yesterday we're still winning, but most of the time he was like, well, where am I supposed to go in there?
And that's why you have the regular season for him to figure it out before the playoffs. Because there's no arguing that they're a better team with Darius Garland than without him when it comes to the playoff time. Yeah, good. They beat up on all the scrubby teams. They mostly beat bad teams without those guys.
I look at it like this. And I'll ask you, and this is the question that you come in talking about, right? Is Darius Garland, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Is he a max player?
Of course not. Does anybody think he is?
He's not worth the biggest contract in franchise history, but that's the situation that they were in at the time. Like, you either got to pay him or you don't.
Right. It's kind of like signing a quarterback. Even if he's not the best, you're going to.
So it's the Watson deal then?
Well,
no, that's totally different.
When they paid,
I'm trying to figure it out.
Except when they paid Watson, I thought he was one of the 5 best quarterbacks, and I'm still hoping he is.
So you had less of a.
I never thought Darius Garland was one of the 5 best point guards.
Darius, when he signed that contract, was one of the highest rising, fastest rising, up and coming guards in the NBA. He was the one on the U.S. Select team. He was the one that other guards were talking about, like, this guy is going to be. Now, has he continued to elevate at that same level? No, probably not. And part of that, I think, is the fact that he's got to share the ball handling duties with another guy in the backcourt. First it was Colin, and then now it was Donovan.
Yeah.
And Donovan is a far superior, better player than Colin Sexton. Like, I know there's still some people out there who think Colin is like some MVP in waiting, but Donovan is a far better player than Colin Sexton. So there's a dance that you have to do. But usually when you're the point guard, you got the ball in your hands, you're running the offense, and that's how it is. But the Cavs, since he's gotten here, that hasn't been the case. They've always had 2 creators, and that's not necessarily
so if he was
a bad
the only
thing.
guy, what would he be? And what would Evan Mobley be if there was not? Who knows? We don't want to find out because we want Donovan Mitchell to stay.
You're better with 2, theoretically.
Yeah.
And the Cavs insist. I haven't had this conversation with them in quite a while, but at one time they kept saying Darius is great playing off the ball. We've got the numbers to prove it. He's comfortable playing in an off-ball role. It'll work. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
This has not been a great year for him, but that doesn't mean that you blow the whole thing up and you move him out.
You're not going to
Nobody wants. if he's their best player, they're not good enough. We know that. We don't even know if they're good enough with Donovan as their best player.
Very rarely in the NBA do you win when your best player is your point guard.
That's right.
Like, very, very rarely.
Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry.
You could say Steph, but look at all. I mean, Steph had transcendent talent around him.
Right, but he was still their best player, and so did Isaiah Thomas. Had great talent around them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, to Jason's point about two ball-dominant guards, theoretically it works together, and I'm not ready to sell my stock on the Donovan-Darius pairing, but you look in Atlanta, they thought DeJounte Murray and Trae Young could play together. Those two clearly can't, and they're going to end up trading DeJounte Murray this offseason. That's been a disaster in Atlanta. But one thing I did take away from yesterday is without Donovan, and maybe the thing that Donovan does best that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, it's constant aggression. And whether he's attacking and scoring for himself and or attacking, drawing the defense, kicking to the corner, the defense can never really get set. They're always in constant motion, trying to figure out how do we cut off Donovan, what's he doing. And last night, it felt like, in just a one-game sample size, Darius was kind of playing with his food and going more east to west than north and south, and it allowed Orlando to kind of set up their defense.
Yeah.
And Orlando's a big team, too. Like, across the board, from point guard to the center, they have long, they have length, they have athleticism, which is a bad matchup for an undersized Cavs backcourt. But one other thing I want to point out, and Jason, I'm curious, I know you didn't watch it last night, G, I know you did, but Evan Mobley was aggressive early and then kind of disappeared for a little bit and then got aggressive again late. But I thought without Donovan in the lineup, this was a chance for kind of the Cavs to not necessarily change their entire offensive philosophy, but allow Evan to be a little more aggressive in the focal point of things. And it looked like that was the case early, but he made a field goal with about 6 minutes left in the first quarter. I don't think his next field goal make came until the last minute of the third quarter. And I was a little disappointed that he wasn't a little more aggressive with the extra opportunities that the offense allowed him to get without Donovan in the play.
Yeah, it was
just two things I noticed.
It was just, I think you bring up a very good point. When Donovan has the basketball, he's forcing the issue. It's either I'm going to get to the rack, or I'm going to look to get my guys, and if I don't got it, I'm moving the basketball. When he comes off the pick and roll, I was just sitting there texting Lima, and he was, talking about ball. I say, Garland needs to shoot more threes. Like, he needs to, like, when Sam Merrill come off a screen, he's aggressive. Like, if you give me an inch, you better not go to that pick and roll. Give me an inch, I'm firing. The same thing with Donovan Mitchell. Like, even when George Niang gets in the game, he's ready to shoot. It don't matter if it go in or not. Yesterday, it was more probing, like he keeping his dribble alive under the basket, and then when he gets into a position where the defense collapse, he's just kind of looking to throw the ball and get the guys late in the shot clock. I get it, because they talked about it on the telecast. When you got the ball and you Darius Garland and you've been a point guard your whole life, you're used to having the ball. It's difficult for somebody to be like, no, just change what you do now, and that's what you've been doing. I think that's more difficult than people let on. But for me, I think it's another alarming thing where sometimes JB, like, if it ain't all going right, like, pull a lever over here, right? If it ain't going all right, hey, Sam Merrill, come on, give me a spark in here or something. Or hey, listen, Evan Mobley was aggressive. He saw Evan getting the ball going down court, pushing the pace. Hey, guys, listen, Evan got a matchup today. And he's telling them, be more aggressive. Make sure, hey, guys, Donovan ain't here. We need y'all, the rest of y'all three, y'all know what time it is. Y'all supposed to be super aggressive. But it just didn't seem like they was in that mode. They was just kind of like,
You think that's on the coach, Jason?
To pull a lever? Well, yeah, to pull a lever is on a coach.
No, I mean, like, specifically get in their face about being aggressive. Is that just, is that up to the player to do it?
I think it depends on the moment, depends on the situation. I don't know that there's one blanket answer that covers everything.
Yeah.
To Mike's, like, I'm kind of glad Donovan sat that game. I want to see him sit more games down because it's one of the things Mike and I talked about on the podcast. Mike said, like, what do you want to see out of the Cavs the rest of the way? And I said, I want to see them play left-handed. I want to see them do things they're not comfortable doing because in the postseason, teams are going to put you in positions to make you do things you're not comfortable doing. So do it now. Play left-handed. And that means Darius and Evan figuring things out together. Okay, it didn't go great last night. So what? It's Orlando in February.
Yeah, right.
That's the time for this to not go right and to figure this stuff out and to keep working on these things. It does you no good to put the ball in Donovan's hands and have him go and try and win every single game you play in the regular season. That does not help you in April, May, and June. It's good for him.
They
to
do
take
want to
games
be the
off.
2 seed. I mean, there's
a big difference, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's okay to have nights like last night.
Sure.
Because you learn from it, and hopefully the next time it gets better. And if it doesn't, well, then hopefully the next time it gets better, because you are building for the middle of April. You're not building for the end of February.
The only thing I will say with that is I agree. Like, you're not going to just scrap everything because you had a bad game in February against Orlando. But the alarming thing is, if I was JB, if you're not making shots, okay. If you're trying to figure out the offense, okay, that's cool. But one thing we're not going to do since the Knicks is we're not going to come get punked. We're not going to get knocked around by guys, and that's not going to happen.
And the game was chippy last night, and then after, everybody's all friendly shaking hands, which is a little weird.
They muddied the game up, and that's what teams are going to do to the Cavs.
One last stat to kind of this is one number that kind of shows you the difference of Donovan versus no Donovan. The Cavs attempted 22 three-pointers last night. That's their fewest since November 17th. Just weren't generating the open looks. They've been averaging
the Cavs are like,
you
remember have you guys seen the original Bad News Bears movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when what's her name? I can't remember the female pitcher that ends up being on the team. When, they were terrible, and then she became the pitcher, and then all of a sudden everybody else played better too.
Yeah.
Every time she pitched. But every once in a while they'd throw Rudy Stein back on the mound, and the other guys stunk again every time he was pitching.
That's a good player. Elevates the talent around him.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.